Chrissy Teigen doesn't know borders. Well, those topics were unrelated. Chrissy Teigen and the borders, but I will say, I'm just gonna make a wild guess. Chrissy Teigen probably doesn't know about borders. Hello, how are you all? How's your week? I don't know about you, but I am so glad it's Friday. Very glad it's Friday. It's been such a week. I'll wait for a few people to hop on and then we'll talk. But first of all, hello, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming. I was supposed to go yesterday. It was just a long day. That didn't happen. I apologize. I did not foresee that, but that's just how it was. Holy cow, I'm on Twitter right now. Okay. Hello, thank you for joining. So if you want to go ahead and get started, we have about 13 people now. 14, yay, thank you. Okay, we got about 14 right now, so let's just get started. 16, okay, great. Thank you so much for joining in. I wanted to start out by, Luke Fish, hello, happy to see you. I wanted to start out by talking about Chrissy Teigen, and I know this seems like sort of a silly thing to talk about, Chrissy Teigen. Oh my gosh, good to see you. Good, we have some people. Long days that didn't happen. Agreed. Yeah, well, I'm in Virginia, and for a few days, it was a little bit weird with our gas situation. Now we're fine. A lot of our gas stations, they do have gas. They're about $2.99 a gallon, no big deal. But there was about a day where we had zero gas anywhere. But now we do have it. There's a few gas stations that were out of gas. I saw that DC was like 88% of DC was out of gas, but we have it here, so it's okay. It's still just very expensive. Hi, thank you. Okay, so I want to talk about Chrissy Teigen for just a minute because, and I know this seems like a silly thing to talk about. Have you guys seen what's been going on with Chrissy Teigen? And if you don't know who Chrissy Teigen is, she is the wife of John Legend, super famous singer. He's very talented. He plays the piano, he sings. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I know he's very talented. He's really good at what he does. Very famous. His wife, Chrissy Teigen, ex-supermodel, I guess. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, maybe, but very successful model. And because she's married to John Legend, because she's sort of famous in that area, she's got a lot of other gigs. So she does a few television gigs. She has like a cookware line. I don't know, like a cookbook, all kinds of stuff. I think she has like a robe line. You're in the liberal occupied territory, Nova. No, I'm not in Nova. I'm not in Nova. I'm actually, I'm in North Carolina, and yeah, gas situation is nuts. For sure. It's a little bit better today. But it was a little weird for a second. I was actually, the last live that I went on, I actually came home. I was almost worried to drive because we didn't know how bad it was going to be, and everyone was out of gas. But it's cool now, so we're all good. It's expensive. So Chrissy Teigen, she's very outspoken politically, and so is John Legend. They actually endorse. Chrissy likes to delete tweets. Yes, she does, and that's what we're going to talk about. So Chrissy Teigen, very outspoken politically, loves to shame Republicans, loves to call them immoral, loves to just call them out and say that they're the bad ones. Loves to demonize Trump supporters or anyone that supports Donald Trump. And I think Joe Biden, if you actually look at her Twitter right now, you can pull it up right now. Joe Biden, our president, actually follows her on Twitter. What is a president doing following Chrissy Teigen on Twitter? I don't know. Obviously, he's not controlling. She's triggered easily. Yes, she does. Obviously, he's not in control of his Twitter account, but he does follow her on Twitter. So a few years ago, well, let's just get to what's happening right now. So what happened recently is Candace Owens, whether you like Candace or not on this issue, she's completely 100% right. Candace Owens basically blew up this story. So again, Chrissy Teigen is someone who demonizes Trump supporters. She demonizes Republicans and says that they're immoral. Well, tweets have resurfaced. Lay on the likes chat. Thank ya. Yes, please like. That helps these videos. It helps any video with this type of commentary, because these type of videos do get shadow banned and they get hidden on the algorithm, which I've noticed a lot recently. So Chrissy Teigen recently spoke out against bullying and spoke about kindness and all of these things. Well, a girl named Courtney Stodden, and I actually, if you don't know the whole story about what's happening right now, just look it up. It's everywhere. It's just blown up this week. But Courtney Stodden is a girl who was on a reality show back in the day. She's awful. I do believe she's a miserable person. Oh, I'm going to be quiet. Listen, you might be right, Luke. So I actually knew about this a few years ago. I saw this, and this was before I even started making videos, before I started speaking out. I saw a video from Courtney. Hi, how are you? Good evening. I saw a video from Courtney Stodden that she posted a few years ago. So Courtney has been vocal about this for years. And this is way before I started making videos. I started talking, and Courtney Stodden talked. It was a long video where Courtney Stodden was talking about how Chrissy Teigen basically, and at the time, let me just give you the time frame when this was happening. This was happening, Courtney Stodden at the time was 16 years old. And Chrissy Teigen was 26 years old. Chrissy Teigen was also like at the height of her modeling career. This was around the time where she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She was a very successful model, which makes this whole story even weirder. So she talked about how Chrissy Teigen was basically stalking her on Twitter and was private messaging her and publicly messaging her, telling her to off herself. A 16-year-old girl, a woman that is 26 years old, messaging a minor. And if you follow Candace Owens, go on her Instagram, go on her Twitter, you can see all of the receipts, you can see the tweets. I don't believe we have the private message public, but according to Courtney Stodden, and Courtney's even said, you know, I was really troubled when I was younger and I was on this reality show. She was married to an older man. So Courtney Stodden was 16 years old, married to a 51-year-old, and they had this reality show, and Courtney Stodden was it's very clear that she was just an at-risk teen. She was very over-sexualized. And it was just very clear that Courtney just had things going on. And Courtney even self-admitted, she said, yes, I was very damaged. I had a lot of adults around me that did not have my best interest at heart, and I was just not okay. And at this time, this 26-year-old woman, this supermodel, was stalking her on Twitter, telling her to off herself. And nice, I'm using nice terms right now, telling her to off herself. So, and the reason this story is significant is one, because there's this woman that's this is obviously a child predator, someone that is preying on a child, telling her to off herself. But this is also someone that the media tells us is this media darling. I used to follow People Magazine on Instagram. I actually stopped because they kept shoving Chrissy Teigen stories down my throat. So the media will tell us, oh, Chrissy, she's like so funny. She's so quirky. She's so clever. Her tweets are so clever. While simultaneously, she's telling a teenage girl to off herself. And all of these brands, so you have Target, this super woke brand. I was actually in Target the other day, and they were selling toddler clothes that says like, I'm not a racist, or just all this like weird, inappropriate stuff that a toddler just shouldn't be wearing or shouldn't be exposed to. And they will shame anyone that has a different ideology than them, yet they support someone like Chrissy Teigen. And it's the same with Chrissy Teigen. She will demonize anyone that does not have the same ideology as her, yet this is what she's doing on the side. And it's not just Courtney Stodden. And again, this has been public for years, and Chrissy has just issued an apology because Candace Owens blew up the story. But Courtney's been saying this for years. And this is someone that the President of the United States of America follows on Twitter. And again, He doesn't follow. She is. And it's not just this tweet. She said things to Lindsay Lohan, and Lindsay Lohan has actually had a suicide attempt, and it has just come forward that Kourtney herself, it doesn't matter what you think about Kourtney or what you think about her life choices. She was a child at this time, and she was a teenager. Candace Owens has been calling out Tiegen for some time about her. Yes, she has. All hail Candace. Yeah, I'm really glad she brought this to light because like I said, Kourtney has been public about this for years and no one has said anything. I don't know how Candace found out about this, but Chrissy Teigen is all about kindness and anti-bullying, and she is sponsored by the same brands that will cancel a Republican in a second and demonize Republicans. What Republican do you know that has ever messaged a teenager and told them to off themselves? Look, I'm not perfect. I have said some really nasty things to people in my day. I've made a lot of mistakes, but to tell a child to off themselves is just a completely different level of degenerate and deranged. And this person clearly has something wrong with them. Yet the media will tell us this is a darling. This is someone we should look up to. And they will allow her to demonize anyone that has a different ideology than her. Yet look at what she's doing in the meantime. So this story is still blowing up. I'm seeing what's happening. Now, so Target is one of the brands that has some of her stuff. And it was said that Target canceled her, but actually I think Target stopped carrying her cookware before any of this even broke out. So I don't know how relevant that is. But it just, again, this is just, we are told all the time that we are the ones without morals, and who are the real ones without morals. And to take it even further, to make it political, her husband, John Legend, and her also promoted defund the police. They also promoted George Gascon. What do we know about defund the police? Almost every single city that defunded their police, what are they doing now? They are refunding their police. And why are they doing that? Because crime increased dramatically. So you're going to sit there and tell me that I'm the one without morals when your slogan, when the policy that you wanted arguably actually victimized people, actually hurt people, because in all of these cities, crime raised, and then they had to refund their police. They had to increase police budgets because they said that it was a mistake. Even the mayor of Minneapolis himself said that defunding the police was a mistake. So I'm supposed to believe that someone like Chrissy Teigen and John Legend are the moral high ground and I'm the bad person, when the very policy that they promote actually victimizes people. And what Chrissy Teigen did online actually victimized a young teenage girl. Chrissy Teigen was 26 years old when she sent those tweets to Kourtney Stodden. Do you want to know what I was doing when I was 25 years old? Yet I'm told, I was even told this today, actually. I was told this today, that I had no morals because of my beliefs. I was told this today, that I did not have morals. You want to know what I was doing when I was 25 years old? I was working at a psychiatric hospital for children and adolescents. I worked with 16-year-old girls who were self-injurious, who were cutters, who had attempted suicide. And when Chrissy Teigen was that age, she was telling them to do that. It is sick. It is deranged. Yet our media will shove these people down our throats and tell us that these are the people that we need to look up to. Look how cute. Look how fun. Look how quirky. Look how clever. And then this is what they're doing. This is how the media is completely backwards. She was called out for hypocrisy by another congresswoman. Oh, are you talking about AOC? Oh, that's another thing. Oh, how funny is that? AOC was another one that was pro defund the police. And how do you say Marjorie, right? So Marjorie challenged her to a debate, right? Careful, girl, maybe too hot, cancel culture and all. So Marjorie challenged AOC to a debate, right? And like confronted her in the hallway. I don't know exactly what happened, but here's another part of the hypocrisy. AOC requested extra security, which is fine. Okay, do it. You want security? I'm all about security. I love security. I like police. I'm all about that. But this is another person who promotes defund the police. And these are the people that we are supposed to be listening to. Do with that what you will. Anywho, yeah, but Chrissy, and the thing with Chrissy is I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe that she should be canceled. I do believe in the market solution. I don't want to spend my money with places that promote people that do things like that. So I do believe in that. So I hope Chrissy all the best. I hope that she has help or she gets help, and she has beautiful children. I hope she raises them well, and I hope everyone does well. Scrutiny for me, but not for thee, the AOC. Yep. I hope she does well and she raises her children well. She does have a very beautiful family. So I don't believe in that, but I hope that she gets help, and who knows. I don't believe in any of that. And this is someone, it's not just one thing that has been said. This is a pattern of behavior that's been going on for a long time. And all of these brands that will cancel a conservative in a second for one sort of like off tweet that they don't like, that doesn't even mean anything, will cancel someone in a second, but will carry these people and continue to carry them and ignore this behavior until it's called out the way that it is. But I wanted to talk also, well, howdy, Sarah. Hello. I wanted to talk about Loudoun County. Has anyone been paying attention to what's happening in Loudoun County? Loudoun County, actually, so I sort of searched them on YouTube. If you search them on YouTube, you can find a lot of their school board meetings. The parents in Loudoun County are basically heroes, in my opinion. They're speaking out against the mask mandates. They're speaking out against not cancel culture. I'm sorry, that's what we were just talking about. They're speaking out against critical race theory, and I believe they might have some successes. And critical race theory, this is something we've talked about a lot on this channel, and it basically teaches you, there's different versions of critical race theory. The version, there's an original version, and there's sort of the newer version. Yeah, no, it's actually really cool. I'm seeing a lot of different school districts, a lot of different parents sort of speaking up against this stuff, which is awesome. Critical race theory is so racist. Yeah. Well, it teaches you that it teaches you that America is inherently racist and that it was founded on racism. It teaches you that if you're this skin color, you are an oppressor. If you're that skin color, then you are that you are oppressed. And honestly, like, if you know the history of America, like, the truth of the matter is that slavery was endemic in the entire world, and that was not one of the founding purposes of America. The founding purposes were freedom of religion, democracy, freedom from government. They were escaping oppression from government, and that's why America was founded. And we actually worked pretty quickly to end that, and only 18% of the people in America even owned slavery. And yes, there were people that fought to keep it, but they lost. And my family in particular, we're from the North, so half of my family immigrated from Italy. The other half immigrated, we're like Irish and French and all that stuff, but we are all from the North. I actually have an ancestor who fought in the Civil War for the Yankees. If I wanted to, I could actually join the Daughters of the Revolution. Fought in the Civil War for the Yankees, was shot in the arm. It's a cool story if you want to hear it. So there's a newspaper clipping, Not Just America. I'm an Aussie, and they push that drivel here too. Wow, slavery is still happening in certain places. It is, for sure. I think Uganda or maybe a few places. This is not my level of expertise, so disregard that. That's not my level of expertise. But so my ancestor, there's a newspaper clipping that my family still has. He fought in the Civil War for the Yankees, and he was shot in the arm. So he's shot in the arm. He goes to the medic tent. And in the medic tent, I don't know if you happened, but back in the day, I knew it was bleeping Yankee. Back in the day, if you were shot in an extremity, or not an extremity, if you were shot on a limb, they usually just took that limb off. They would give you like a bullet to chew on and some whiskey, and then they took that sucker off. That's just what they did. So he goes to the medic tent and he sees the pile of limbs, and it freaked him out. So he ran off like into the forest and laid in a stream and actually healed his wound. It healed, so he didn't have to have his arm amputated, and that made it in the newspaper. We have that newspaper clipping somewhere around here. What? Blue label? I don't know what that means, Dean. But that's a pretty cool story. Smash that like. Thank you. Can someone now explain what right I didn't have as a black person, so we progressed from something that was not pretty? That's how I feel as a woman sometimes. I'm like, can you tell me what right I don't have as a woman? My mother actually worked in the building industry for a long time and has told me, like, if you and your partner or whoever you're with ever have a business, you might be better off putting it in your name, putting it in a woman's name, because you're more likely to get loans and stuff. I don't know if that's true. That's just what my mother says. But Loudon County, if I can find this video clip, I will play it for you. Johnny Walker, blue label, fat thumb. Okay. I learned this in elementary school, what they used to do. We all have the right to party. Is it true? Okay. Yeah, that's what my mom told me. Because I wanted to, I've always had this dream of owning a restaurant or owning a bar. And I was talking to my mom recently about this, and she was like, well, if you ever do, make sure you put it in your name, because you're more likely to get stuff if it's in your name. Don't know how true that is, but apparently some of you guys agree. Mom knows best while keeping dad in dark. Yeah. Yes, my mom usually she's right, and I hate to admit it, but my mom is typically right about a lot of things. Lydia, whiskey, and Chris Stapleton. No, I actually learned that in elementary school. That's what they would do. They would give you a little bullet to chew on. Sarah, you should go into politics. You know what's funny? I've thought about going into politics. A really good buddy of mine, actually, and he's an actor too. He just went into politics. I've thought about it. I've always lived in very liberal cities, so I feel like I would be very alone, and I feel like I would be so frustrated. But that's always an option, and I love learning. I love learning about city council. Yeah, my city council is so unbelievably liberal. The city council of my resident state, not like where I am right now, but they are unbelievably liberal. Do something local and still run the bar. I would love to do that. I think that would be fun. I would love to have a restaurant or a bar and then do something local. I would absolutely love to do that. You're too nice to be in politics. That's what I'm worried about, because I feel like I might get frustrated, and you would be surprised how I see Sarah as an aviator with those 80s aviator shades. When did you see my shades? I have sort of an aviator outfit on. I don't know when you saw my shades. I do have, hold the phone. There's an article in defense of Chrissy Teigen. Okay, this is another thing about Chrissy Teigen. So this article is saying, this is actually in the Daily Wire. In defense of Chrissy Teigen, it's an opinion piece. As conservatives cheer Teigen's downfall, perhaps they should remind themselves that nothing about the celebration of Teigen's demise is conservative. And then I'm going to read you some commentary. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know if you guys follow Ian Miles Chong. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I follow him on Twitter. He has interesting commentary sometime. I'm just going to read what he says. Besides being terrible. Okay, so he's commenting on this article. The forum fits you well, Sarah. Nightly chats with whiskey. There's no whiskey in here. I'm being bad. I'm having a soda. I know it's not good for you, but sometimes you just need a little. Article must be about censorship and canceling. I think it is. But I want to hear, let me read what he has to say. I know, I like this format too. I kind of like just hanging out and talking about stuff. I really do. I hope you guys like it. But it says, besides being terrible. Okay, so this is his commentary. Sugar rush, that's what I need. Okay, so this article, opinion piece, stop distracting me. My microphone's not even on. I don't know why I did that. In defense of Chrissy Teigen, opinion piece in the Daily Wire. It says as conservatives cheer Teigen's downfall, perhaps they should remind themselves that nothing about the celebration of Teigen's demise is conservative. Okay, so they're speaking out against cancel culture because conservatives are typically against cancel culture. Inventor of Ritalin. Never needed Ritalin. Besides, except for when I started getting on Twitter, when I started getting a little, I just joined TikTok. And I know what people say about TikTok, and I get it. Most of it is very cringy. There are some parts of TikTok that are actually really cool and really creative. For instance, I follow this channel that's all about horror stories and like real life ghost stories. I don't even know if I believe in that, but I love ghost stories. I don't care if they're real or fake. I love watching ghost stories, and I'm obsessed with this Twitter account. Okay, so let's read this. In defense of Chrissy Teigen. This is criticism of this article. It says, then this is about Chrissy Teigen. It says, besides being terrible, Teigen is a massive proponent of cancel culture. But somehow people are supposed to defend her from consequences? Please. Reminds me of some bad Saturday morning cartoon where the hero refuses to kill Adolf Hitler, Stalin, some other mass murderer because of dealing with him makes you no better than Hitler. Grow the F up. Don't tell me I need to defend this deflated basketball. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Candace Owens. You can go on Candace Owens's Instagram. You're right. So yeah, Rational Wrong Think was saying the right has to stop defending those. And that's the thing. Okay, so Freemag said no one is defending the 2011 tweet about Candace. Yeah, so, and I think that's why Candace said something about this and why conservatives are talking about this, because Chrissy Teigen is someone who loves to cancel people. She loves to demonize people. She loves to bully people. And she loves to tell people that they're wrong for their opinions. Yet she is worse than anyone she tries to cancel. And that's the thing. And I think, what's up, Friday? I think that cancel culture to me is someone who has sort of an indiscriminatory tweet that they did like 5 or 6 years ago that someone will pull up and be like, oh, you gotta, or they'll have like a joke that they did a long time ago, and then someone's like, oh, let's lose all your sponsorships. This is a person that is, in my opinion, an actual child predator. This is someone who has told a child to off themselves, who has private messaged a child and told them to off themselves. And this is a pattern of behavior. And it's been happening for a long time. Not to mention the really inappropriate, really disturbing tweets that hi Kelly, disturbing tweets that she said about toddlers. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into it. Look it up. But there are some really disturbing things that she said about little toddlers that she actually had to delete. She's had to delete 60,000 tweets. Not even these. So that's what it is. This is a proponent of cancel culture. This is someone who loves to cancel other people, yet she is guilty herself. TGIF, Sarah, Livebone, yeah. I'm so glad it's Friday. Not like it was a week. But But that's what this is about. It's about, you're okay to do this. Everyone will support you. The president of the United States will follow you. You can demonize everyone else, but you're the baddie. You tell everyone else that they're bad. No, you're bad. You're guilty of what you are accusing everyone else of. Iron law of woke projection. That's exactly what it is. Typically, the people that point the finger the most and that scream the most and they're the most loud are the people that are the most guilty. And I think that's very true in Chrissy's case. Saturday morning here in the real world, you guys are... Where are you? Who just said it's Saturday morning? Where are you? Oh, and watching Matt Walsh do deadpan TikTok reviews. Awesome. Maybe you could do your own version, Sarah. Yeah, so I'm obsessed with TikTok right now. So I've seen Matt Walsh's and I'm jealous and I want to do the same thing because I'm obsessed with TikTok. It is such a brilliant, I love human behavior. I used to work in psychiatric hospitals. I love observing human behavior. And if you really want to dissect human behavior, TikTok is just a great experiment in what people will do to get views and to get likes. It is fascinating. I love it. I'm obsessed. So I think I will do some videos where I review some TikTok videos for sure. Australia is not in Europe, dude. Oh, I didn't. Okay, you're in Australia. Now we know. So we actually have people that are dropping their mask mandates. I'm actually vaccinated, and the reason I'm vaccinated is because I'm helping family. I flew over the cuckoo's nest. That One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I read that in high school. That was one of my favorite books that I've read in high school. That was the one book that we were required to read in high school that I actually read, and I still have the copy that I got in high school. And now that I think about it, I wonder if that's why do you know that I actually interned in a psychiatric hospital for do you guys want to hear a random story that has nothing to do with politics? I'm just going to tell you. I'll just tell you. When I was in college, I was studying. Okay, good. Someone answered. Good. I'm just going to tell you. So when I was in college, I was studying like human services, which is basically like a coverall. It's like a little bit of psychology, a little bit of social work, a little bit of just everything, a little bit of human development. So we had to do internships, right? And I was living in rural Virginia. And one of my internships, I interned like at a foster home for children. I'm currently writing a book. Oh, that's awesome. I interned at, a foster home, a day facility, all kinds of stuff. And my last internship was at a psychiatric hospital. And because I lived in rural Virginia, we had like a huge psychiatric hospital. We had so you had if anyone's from Virginia, you might know this. We had Eastern State, Western State, and I interned at Western State. So I'm 21 years old, interning at Western State Hospital, an adult psychiatric hospital, and there was a mistake that was made. So everyone in my class, we all did these internships, and the way our classes were, we met Mondays and Fridays, and Wednesdays we went to our internship. So every Wednesday I went to Western State Hospital, and I would spend about 3 or 4 hours, and I would go to the way that they had the hospital set up. It was a huge campus, and it was an old campus. This campus was like, I don't know how old, but it was a really old campus. And back in the day, they didn't know a whole lot about mental illness, so they would put everyone in the psychiatric hospital. So they went from having like 3,000 patients at a time to having about 300 patients at a time. They just didn't know a lot about medication, people being able to be out in the community and stuff like that. So it was a huge campus, and only about a third of it was actually utilized. Most of the buildings were vacant. So you can imagine how creepy it was. It was really creepy, but it was really cool. Like I said, I love horror stories. I love creepy stuff, and it was beyond creepy. Anyway, so I was interning there with like 5 or 6 other students in my program, but for some reason, I was separated from all of them. I don't know why. And I would go to my internship. I would meet like my supervisor, and then I would go with her and we would do day groups during the day. And I would do about 4 or 5 groups. So the clients or the patients that were there, they had their little residential places, and then they would all go to one building, and it was kind of like a school, and that was to keep them busy throughout the day. And they would, instead of class, they would have groups like daily living skills, symptom management, stress management, like those kind of groups. Well, they made a mistake with me, and they put me on accident with the NGRI clients, or NGRI patients that's not guilty by reason of insanity. Students are not supposed to be with these patients because they are the most dangerous of the dangerous that are in the facility, and they are the ones not guilty by reason of insanity. So I was working with convicted murderers when I was like 21, and look at me. You can't see me in real life. I'm 5'1". I weigh about 100 pounds. So it was a mistake. It was just like a miscommunication. Students were not supposed to be with these people. So I would go every day, and I'm working, and I'm doing these groups, and I'm having all these like crazy situations. Sometimes like people would go out of their minds, and I was in like this locked facility. There were padded cells, there were chairs that they would strap them into. Like people would have moments, and I would have to clear the room, security would come, and it was so funny because I never knew how dangerous it was. And I would go to class. So like I said, my class was Monday and Friday, and then our internships were Wednesdays. So I would go to class, and my other classmates would be like, "Oh my gosh, our patients were so cute. They're so funny. They did this quirky thing." And I'd be like, my stories are different. My patient wanted to kill me. Excuse me. And I did this the whole semester. And then at the end of the semester, we had to write, the whole time we were in these internships, we had to write these, oh yeah, it was high security where I was, and I was not supposed to be there. So we had to keep these journals, and I actually learned a lot from these journals, but we had to keep these journals that basically like every day we would have to do an entry in our journal, and we would have to talk about our experience in the hospital. And at the end of the class, and one of my teachers, I actually still know her. I'm still friends with her on Facebook, and we email each other sometimes. And it was the last day of class, like the last day of the semester. I was just about to graduate, and she read my journal, and she came out of class, pulled me aside in the hallway after class was dismissed, and she looked at me and she goes, "Sarah." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "What?" And she goes, "You're so small." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "You're just so small." She couldn't believe that I had been working with these patients the entire time. Like I had slipped through the cracks, and somehow we're working with these really dangerous patients, and it had stressed my mom out. I remember telling her stories. Like I worked with a man that, I don't even know what I can say on YouTube. I don't want to be too inappropriate, but I worked with a man who did something, murdered his pregnant wife. And it was really brutal because he thought that she was a robot. But he was very, very, very clinically, he had very severe mental illness. And he would go off on tangents and would go off on me like regularly. And it stressed out my mom. But I worked with these people. And then when I graduated, my first job out of college was I worked actually on the same campus, but farther down. I worked at a psychiatric hospital for children and adolescents. It was an acute care psychiatric hospital. And so we would get, I worked with the teenagers. So we would get clients or patients that were in crisis. We would stabilize them and send them back out. I follow a tiny girl who is a cop on Instagram, and I don't understand how she can do the job. She's smaller than, You know what was funny though? I will say this. When I worked at the when I worked with teenagers, I was nervous to work with them because I was like, they are not going to respect me. Like, they are not going to listen to me. I am 5 foot nothing. I weigh nothing. I sound like Minnie Mouse. They're just not going to respect me. But what I discovered was they actually respected me more than a lot of people because they knew that I was honest and that I was real and that I actually cared about them and that I was serious when I gave them directives. I remember I worked with a guy who played college basketball. So you can imagine how tall he was, about 6'5". And there were several times when I was working with him that our kids would just totally disrespect him. They wouldn't look at him and he would look at me like, I don't know what to do, Sarah, can you help? And I just thought that was so funny. It has to do with like confidence and respect. And I think they knew that I respected them, so they respected me. And it was just this weird dynamic. Not that I didn't have issues or not that I didn't have moments where like kids like went off on me. Of course that happened a lot. But I was surprised at how much I was able to like connect with the kids. I didn't realize Instagram had cops, but now we know. She's a cop that's on Instagram is what he's saying. It's all in the attitude. Totally, Kelly. It's all in the attitude and it's all in confidence. And that was all in the attitude, exactly what Kelly said. All in the attitude, all in confidence. And that was a really cool lesson that I learned at a really young age. And I'm really lucky that I learned that lesson. And I still have to remind myself because there's still times where I need to be like, Sarah, have confidence. Sarah, you seem to have lived a bunch of different places. Are you a mobster? No. Okay, I'll tell you my history, Lance. So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Tinfoil hat. I do need a tinfoil hat. Everyone needs a tinfoil hat. What are you talking about? You don't have a tinfoil hat? Why not? Don't you know the aliens are about to invade? Get your hat, silly. So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I lived there until I was 18, and then I lived in small town Virginia until I was 25. When I was 25, I moved to Denver, Colorado. I lived there for about 4 years, and then I moved to, thank you, Steve, how are you? The Army went woke, LOL. I heard, so did the CIA. Steve, thanks for joining us. I think Steve is a youngin', aren't you? I lived in Denver, Colorado for a little bit, and then I moved to West Hollywood, California, and I've lived there until now. So now my parents actually live in Virginia. Tinfoil is alien proof. Duh. Tinfoil is alien proof. And then I lived in South Carolina for like 3 months in between. I was born in Chatsworth, Georgia. Oh, cool. Then lived in Atlanta for about 8 years when I was a child. Yeah, I lived in, and this is what I try to tell people. Like, this is one of the reasons why I'm so against what part of Virginia. So I lived in Stanton, Virginia. That's actually where I worked. I don't know if you know Stanton, Virginia, look up Western State Hospital. That's where I worked. I worked at Western State Hospital, and I worked at, no, I didn't work at Western State. I'm sorry. I interned at Western State Hospital, and then I worked at the Commonwealth Center for Children and Adolescents. So you can look those places up. It's in Stanton, Virginia. And then right now I'm in Mechanicsville. Kelly, you are so sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kelly. I detoxed at Stanton. There is I don't know if you're serious, but there is a detox center in Stanton, and I actually really wanted to intern at the detox center. A part of me still wants to go back to that work. I know, Stanton, I lived in Winchester. I know Winchester, absolutely. Yeah, Stanton's cool. I really want to, like, while I'm here, I would love to go and visit Stanton. I really, you know, when I lived there, I was so young and I didn't appreciate it because I was just a youngin' and I was like, it's too small town. I just think it's so cool now. It really is. Like, if you want to go visit a small town, go visit Stanton, Virginia. Very cool. I lived in Winchester for 6 years. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I mean, Shenandoah Valley is a pretty place. Yep. I lived in the Shenandoah Valley, and then I lived in Colorado. And what I always say is I almost think that the Shenandoah Valley is more beautiful than Colorado, but the Colorado mountains are more impressive. Respect my authority. And I've been to South Park, Colorado. One time I went to a bowling alley in South Park, Colorado, and I ate chicken tenders. Go me. I lived in Bristol, Virginia Beach, and Fort Lee. Never been to Bristol. I've heard of Bristol, like Virginia Beach. I lived in Park City, Utah. Oh, that's really cool. I have never been to Park City, Utah. I would love to go to Park City, Utah. It looks absolutely, I've never been to Utah, period. It looks beautiful. A lot of states I haven't been to. Frank, thank you very much. Your videos have a calming effect. God bless. That's very sweet, Frank. Thank you very much. South Park is real? Yes, Kelly. So South Park is actually a real place. It's a very small town, like sort of in, almost in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the guys that, I live between Richmond and Williamsburg. Williamsburg is beautiful. I love Williamsburg. Yes, South Park is a real place. Yeah, it's a small town, and I do believe that the guys that write South Park, are they from South Park? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's real. And the cool thing is, when you live in Denver, you get a lot of the references from South Park. Like you'll start to understand them a lot when you start to watch South Park. It's very cool. Nice place, but people in South Park are a bit too dimensional. I think that was a joke. The Jimmy Stewart movie, Shenandoah, is something everyone should try to watch. Civil War, tearjerker. Okay, cool. My bad, Cartman. Okay, so without giving anything away too personal, sometime in the near future, there's a very cool hotel. One of my favorite movies. I guess we're just hanging out now. I'm just talking about whatever. One of my favorite movies ever is Gone with the Wind, and I'm getting to go, there's a hotel in Richmond called the Jefferson, and the staircase in the Jefferson is this, I've been to the Stanley Hotel, we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so this is another love of mine. You are so sweet, Steven. I got a German World War II helmet for my birthday. I'm worried about wearing it outside. Oh, I missed it. That is so cool. World War II helmet. You're worried about wearing it outside. The early Saturday morning. I love old hotels. I've stayed at the Stanley. No, I haven't stayed at the Stanley Hotel. I did a ghost tour there and had a cocktail. The Jefferson is haunted? I'm staying there. I can't say when, but I'm staying there. So the staircase in the Jefferson, the main staircase, is the staircase. If any of you have seen Gone with the Wind, it's the staircase from Gone with the Wind. You know, when she's on the stairs at the very end, and she's like, what does she say? He's like, quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And then Scarlett's like, I'll worry about it tomorrow. That's from the Jefferson, and I get to see it, and I'm so excited. I love old hotels, and I love haunted hotels for sure. So this Stanley Hotel, that's in Colorado. It's in Estes Park, Colorado, and the Stanley Hotel is where Stephen King stayed when he was inspired to write The Shining. Thank you. Do I get an award? So yes, he was staying at the Stanley Hotel. Oh, I wonder if I can find, oh, I can't find it right now. I was going to show, if I can find, I was going to show you a picture if I can find. I like scaring, so Kelly likes scaring people. You would have a lot of fun with me then, Kelly, because I scare very easily. I'm the easiest person ever to scare, but I also love being scared. It's a weird, like, it's a weird thing within myself. I like to torture myself, I think. Yeah, Stephen King was staying at the Stanley Hotel when he was inspired to write The Shining. Also, have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey? I can't remember the other guy's name, but there were scenes that were filmed at a hotel that was supposed to be in Aspen, but it was actually the Stanley Hotel, and they filmed a bunch of scenes there. The Shining was a great movie. The Stanley Hotel has a Shining channel where they play The Shining 24/7. Do they really? I only went there for the afternoon. I didn't stay there overnight, but we did do a ghost tour, and they took us underground, and there's like this really weird underground tunnel. We didn't see any, I will say this about, so this did happen on the ghost tour at the Stanley Hotel. So there's one room at the Stanley Hotel, and there's actually a room, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I think that Jim Carrey stayed in the Shining room. I think it's like room 247 or 257, something like that, but that's the room that Stephen King stayed in. And apparently this room, like, a lot of weird stuff happens. And I think it's rumored, please fact check me on this, I think it's rumored that Jim Carrey stayed in this room when they were filming Dumb and Dumber, and he could only stay in it one night, and he was like, I'm done. But there's another room, 237. Okay, see, that's why I love you guys. You already knew that. It's room 237. Okay, so that's where Stephen King was staying, and apparently Jim Carrey or someone on the cast of Dumb and Dumber was staying, but they could only stay one night. There's another room too that so when we were on this ghost tour, they were taking us through the hotel, talking to us about the different, like, haunted rooms. And there's another room, it's not 237, but it's a different room where if you go in the closet, you will feel something touching you. And they were telling us about this, and they were like, yeah, a lot of people book this room, and then they go in the closet, and you can feel someone touching you. And I swear this was not planned. I don't know if they really felt this, but while we're on the tour, there were two girls staying in that room, and we heard them scream, and they ran out, and they were like, yeah, it happened. So I don't know what they felt, what they saw, but that happened while we were on the tour. But here's the crazy thing about the Stanley Hotel. There is no one on record that has ever died at the Stanley Hotel, ever. What they think is because it's built on a bunch of limestone, and apparently limestone attracts a lot of energy or something, and that's why. Have you seen Dr. Sleep? I don't know, Steven. I have not seen Dr. Sleep. I don't know. Has anyone seen Dr. Sleep? No idea. Oh, someone just says they lived. That's my favorite thing. Jim Carrey, blah. Too bad he wasn't ascended. I used to love Jim Carrey. I still like him sometimes. Oh, sequel to Shining. I have not seen that. Not at all. I will watch it. The Shining is a brilliant movie. It's very scary. I think. Okay, read the book. I'm trying to think of the scariest movie I've ever seen. It wasn't The Exorcist. I didn't think The Exorcist was that scary. Dr. Sleep is horrible. Ewan McGregor. Okay, since we're talking about Ewan McGregor, do you want to hear another story? I guess we're just talking about stories. Also, this Stanley Hotel, wasn't that the guy that made the Stanley steamer? He moved to Estes Park too because I think he had cancer. He had cancer, and he felt like the mountain air was very good for you, so he wanted to be in the mountains and the mountain air, and he thought that would cure his cancer. Tell us a UN story. Okay, so this happened when I first moved to Hollywood, and I'm so glad that this happened because I feel like it is. Kelly, you are so sweet, my dear. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Ewan McGregor, this is like the quintessential Hollywood story, and then I'm going to have to hop off in about 5 minutes. This is going to die. So Ewan McGregor, really cool guy. And this is, again, the quintessential Hollywood story. So right when I moved to Hollywood, I was doing like promotional modeling work where I would just do events, and I would like hand out stuff, or like, hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm cute, I guess. I don't know. I was working at this huge event in downtown Los Angeles, and it was a Google event. So it was a 3-day Google event. It was a very high profile event, and I was just going there working. And every day that I would go, I would notice that there were a bunch of like huge trucks and like big like film equipment outside. And I just assumed that it was for the event that we were at. Well, my last day there, it was the 3rd day, I was exhausted. I had worked like 10 hours. Okay, bye. Thank you for coming. Bye. I was working for like 10 hours. I was exhausted. I think I got there by Uber. I didn't want to drive there. So I called an Uber when I was leaving, and I was really frustrated because I left the building and there were all these trucks around. There were all these people, and I just wanted to go home. I was tired and I couldn't get any service, and I was just frustrated. And there were all these guys like around me just talking, like it was like 3 or 4 guys just like talking and chit-chatting, and I was like, ugh, I just want to go home. I'm annoyed. Get away from me. And then, so I'm standing there and I'm on my phone. And then I noticed one of the guys, there were like what looked like crew members. They were like putting away lighting equipment. And this guy walks over and he had a Scottish accent and a bald head. Like his head had just been shaved. And he walks over and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. It was a pleasure working with you. Would you mind taking a picture with us?" It was Ewan McGregor. It was a movie set. So the event that I was working was right in the middle of this movie set. And it was Ewan McGregor, and he was sitting here talking to, I think they were like bodyguards or crew members, and he was just chit-chatting and talking to them right next to me. And these were the people that were annoying me. And he walked right by me and was talking to some of the crew members. He took pictures with all of them. He was so nice. And they go, "Oh my God, did you just shave your head?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta fly off." And he was shooting another movie in like some other country. But it was just so cool because it was just one of those moments where you accidentally walk onto a movie set. And it doesn't happen, but that's what should happen when you live in Hollywood. You should just accidentally walk on a movie set. So that whole time I was in the middle of this movie. I still don't know what movie it was. I would love to see, but it was for sure Ewan McGregor. Ewan is super, oh, he was totally nice. He took pictures with these were all crew members that he was talking to. And usually a celebrity wouldn't even be around this area. Yes, sir, the Thunder. Yeah, he was so nice. He talked to everyone. He took pictures with him. You could tell they really loved him. They really appreciated him. He was so nice. And I will say, like, it's really nice to see a nice celebrity because a lot of them are just such jerks. They really are. So when you see someone that's really nice, that treats people well, it warms your heart. And you always want that little Hollywood story where you accidentally kind of like stumble upon a cool movie set. It was the same time, 1939, when she won it. Oh, Hattie McDaniel. Yeah, that was the girl that won. Was that who won the Oscar? Kelly said, "Do I ever ask for autographs?" Oh, no. Never, 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 never. I'll tell you the celebrities I've seen in person. This is cool. And these are people that I've just seen out and about. Lionel Richie, I bumped into him at a bookstore. He was just standing right next to me looking at magazines. Joni Mitchell. Jeff Goldblum. He was sitting across from me. I was eating lunch out by myself during the day, right by my house. And he was eating lunch right across from me. Again, really nice guy. He was just eating lunch by himself in the middle of the afternoon. And this restaurant that I was at, he knew everyone that worked there. They loved him. He's also a really nice guy. I'm trying to think of who else I saw randomly. There's probably a lot more, but I can't really remember. But those were cool people that I saw. I like Lionel Richie. Joni Mitchell was really cool. And I'm a huge fan of Jeff Goldblum. And and those were also people that were really, really nice and really respectful to the people that were around them and talking to them. So I like telling those stories when I see celebrities out that are really nice. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was awesome. All right, you guys. I think I am going to go ahead and head off. Thank you so much. That was fun. We just kind of chit-chatted, and I enjoyed that. I hope you did too. But I will see you all on, I think, probably Monday. But I thank you so much. Like, wait, such a nice guy. Yeah. The Thunder. Thunder. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about. Bye, Sarah. Okay, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here. And I really enjoy talking with you all. Enjoy your weekend. Yes, Marcia, good night. Thank you. Okay, have a good evening. Kelly, good night, Sarah. Mwah, mwah. Mwah. Kelly, have a great weekend. Good live stream, Westwell. Okay, I really enjoyed that, you all. I hope you did as well. If you ever have ideas for anything else, you can, I have an email in my email section, so just let me know if there's anything you ever want to talk about or discuss. I'll research it for you, and then we can just chat with each other, and that's always fun. All right, thank you very much. That was, oh, good night from Florida. I actually want to go to Florida very soon. I hope to make it to Florida. All right, bye, you all. How do I do this off? There it is.